welcome back to Salmon's Pizzeria for your Championship Penitentiary roundup. Whilst the full season may be over and I have been away on holiday, the Championship football, it never stops. We are, of course, covering the playoffs for not just promotion to the Premiership, but also promotion to the Championship, because we might as well have a look at who may be joining us next season, shall we? So, of course, it is myself, your host, Callum Blythe, joined by Kieran Ashton. How are you, Kieran?
Yeah, absolutely delighted to be back on. Obviously, talking about the playoffs, who might be joining us, but also the Thistle could play as well in the playoffs in our quest to finally get promoted to the Premiership after what feels like being like, I think it's been 4 seasons in a row. We've been in the playoffs and we've failed to get promoted. So, feeling I'll probably talk about my chances and how I feel about heading into the playoffs. Obviously, played on Fairmont tomorrow night. Sorry for the spoiler, but we go into the semi final on tomorrow night. But I decided to, for some stupid reason, wear the most the most cursed Thistle kit in history. Um, Ahead of talking about how I feel about, you know, going into the playoff. So that's fantastic. But I nonetheless looking forward to discuss it and obviously talking about a very interesting result as well at the weekend.
I was going to say, it's like from the lighting, it does look like it's black and white.
Yeah, and that's the thing as
You're
well.
basically wearing a
So
Pars kit.
yeah, I no, it's not. It's blue and white. Looks more like a commando kit more than anything else. It was an away kit in 1996. Which saw us getting relegated in a playoff against Dundee United. We conceded in the last minute to Owen Coyle at Tannadice. And this kit since then has just been forever shunned by the Thistle support. And I decided to wear it tonight. So apologies for the Thistle fans watching.
We will get on to Thistle later on in this episode, but of course, we do start off with Arbroath against Dunfermline in what is the final two games of their triple header. Of course, third against fourth in the Championship. Winner would take on Partick Thistle. And of course, the two teams played each other on the final day to decide who would be third and who would be fourth, and it finished 0-0. It was a pretty drab game. I don't remember covering it for very long last week. But this first leg would instantly see more action as Chris Kane would manage to open the scoring for the Pars just after just 7 minutes. A pretty well worked goal with this one, with Andy Todd managing to shake off a few defenders, played a lovely through ball to him, and Kane from the edge of the box, finding the bottom corner. Just really nice finish. Rest of the first half, Kieran and Wenya, he would have an effort from a corner saved on the line by McAdams. Really good save from him. Then Andy Todd, an attempt from the edge of the box. But no extension of their advantage in the first half. Second half, meanwhile, there was a penalty claim for Arbroath after the ball came off of Gilmore's arm. However, looking at the replays, it looks as though as if it hits sort of like the bottom of his sleeve, like right on the cuff. And so, by the law in Scotland, that is not a penalty. Kieran, any thoughts on it?
I mean, I think if I was a fan watching it at the time, a fan of both sides, I would kind of if it was my team that potentially the penalties going to be given towards you, I'd be screaming for it. I think any fan would, but I going by the law, it's obviously not. But I can see why, um, you know, why people would want it to be given. But nah, I don't think it was. I wasn't convinced as well at the time. Um, but by the law, it's not, a penalty. So I don't think there's any real arguments here.
It is just a case of it being really unlucky because it's like the law's a mess. No one knows what it is anymore because
Yeah.
it's like it's different in Scotland, it's different in England, and it's different in European competitions. It's like there's no unified handball law for whatever reason. So I definitely unlucky on that aspect, but yeah, it just seemed to, by the looks of the highlights anyway, it seemed to be a case of Dunfermline edging it definitely, and but it's like with that second half, there wasn't really much aside from a pretty bizarre attempt at an own assist. You know, it's like a ball came in from a free kick, and the Arbroath player just sort of like pinged it across his own box. It almost fell to Chris Kane, who could have very easily made that 2-0. But aside from that, yeah, there wasn't really much in regards to that second half. But then we of course move on to the first half of the second leg. Plenty of chances here for Arbroath. Best one definitely being Robinson's volley from inside the box. It manages to get past Oxford, but Chilwell Mullen was there just in front of the line to clear it. Second half, Dunfermline would manage to get themselves back into this one, but then um, a pretty lax back pass would see Oxford come out, rush out to try and clear it. He does not clear it. He ends up collecting Ryan Dow, who goes down, and it's a penalty pretty late on. I think it was about the 85th minute this was given.
Yeah.
However, Oxford would go from zero to hero as he would save Muirhead's effort, which was it was well placed, but there was just not enough power in it. But it was going right in the bottom corner, so it is still a really good save from Oxford, but it just was not the power required to get that one in the net. And so, with that, it would be Dunfermline heading through to the semi final. As I predicted, I did say it would be a case of there only being a goal in it. It's proved to be very tight once again. Um, so, yeah, Kieran, your thoughts on the two fixtures and the two teams?
I think the first leg, I think Dunfermline were all over Arbroath, to be honest. I don't think Arbroath kind of done much to trouble Dunfermline, maybe apart from one or two chances. But McAdams, I thought, was absolutely excellent in the first leg. Like, I think Dunfermline on another day could have put that tie to bed with like the whole tie within the first 15 minutes of the first leg. Especially that save from Gwen as well, for the corner to make it 2-0, and Oxford obviously managed to get it. He's a goalkeeper I've rated this season. He seems to especially against Spitzel, seems to play really well. So I'm kind of glad I don't have to face him in the playoffs this season. He always kind of Arbroath as well, just always kind of seem to get one over on us in the playoffs. But I'd probably maybe a sign of fatigue maybe from Arbroath's point of view. Maybe it was a bridge too far. And I thought Dunfermline as well defensively looked solid. But second leg really Arbroath can flying out the traps. Obviously they had to. The game was still in balance. Only one goal in it really. And I thought Arbroath were unlucky not to score. Obviously you mentioned that Robinson chance as well inside the box. I think there were a couple of chances the second half as well, but it obviously just couldn't put it away. Obviously again we'll go into that that penalty Muirhead missing it, which is quite unusual. Aaron Muirhead used to be our penalty taker, especially when we were in the Premier League when he was there. And more often than not, he would. I think every penalty he had, he took for us, especially when we were in the Premier League. He scored them. He used to just lash it. So it was kind of unusual seeing him miss that, but I obviously just not enough power on it, and Oxford managed to save it and redeem himself almost instantly after giving away the penalty and potentially giving away the tie. But honestly, Dunfermline, I think over the course of the two legs, I think you can't really argue they deserve to go through over the course of the two legs. But I think as well, all credit I've got to go up. All credit I've got to go to Arbroath's way as well. They should be proud of the season they've had. I think a lot of people, including myself, think tipped them to be in relegation or in about that kind of area, but they've punched well above their weight this season, and I think even if the way it went, they kind of went out in the playoffs with a whimper kind of thing. But the fans should be proud of them for the way they've played, and obviously I think they had a bit of a slump towards the tail end of the season. But if they didn't kind of slump that way, they probably could have challenged us for second place. Obviously they were just a wee bit off it, but it was confirmed for us in the semi-finals. I think I mentioned that in the introduction. Sorry for spoiling it there. But confirmed for us in the semi-final. Our record against them this season is fantastic. We've took 10 points off them this season. I think 3 wins, one away at East End Park, 2 wins at Firhill, and a draw at East End Park. So I'm quietly confident, I would say, heading into it. If the records just purely going by the record against them this season, how we've played against them. But at the same time, I mean, I don't want to get carried away with myself here. I don't think, the last season when it was us versus Livingston, who were second, there was I think there was a bit of a gap, and um, a bit of a gap in the quality between us and Livy. I don't think we're quite at that stage this season. Well, not this season, sorry, but at this point. But obviously, again, we've not lost to them this season, so it's probably out of the two of them. I'm glad it's Dunfermline, but at the same time, they've got that cup final to look forward to as well. Are they going to give that up and focus on the playoffs? Are they going to give the playoffs up to focus on a one-off game against Celtic in the cup final? Who knows what's going to happen there? And again, the fixtures as well. It's somebody's got to look at that, especially if they go past us. That the fixtures are going to be so congested for them. So that'll be interesting to see if they get through us. But yeah, at recording it's tomorrow night. We're away on Fairman, and I think there's no reason for me to not be confident about it. I think for us though, it's about coming out of the first leg away relatively unscathed. Keep the tie in distance in the balance for us heading into the second leg at Firhill. And I think I've said it time and time again on this podcast this season. Our back is against anybody at home at Firhill. So I nonetheless I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we get past on Fairmont.
It would have been interesting though to see how it would have shaped for Arbroath if they did manage to score that penalty because it's as you do say about it, yeah, Dunfermline were very much on top. They should have been 2 or 3 up in that first leg, but obviously they failed to convert those chances. If Arbroath had converted that penalty, it's probably would have gone to extra time. And it's like penalties is a bit of a lottery, and that's something that we'll get onto later. But yeah, as you say, with Partick Thistle, they finished 15 points clear of Dunfermline, and as you say, 10 you earned 10 points against them in the regular season. So you will be hoping to continue that record. I'm also hoping you continue that record. But yeah, we have of course brought up the point about fixtures with Dunfermline Scottish Cup final coming up, possibly being an issue, especially if they do make the playoff final. Again, that's going to be something that we'll have to deal with if we ever come across it.
I mean, I hope we don't come across it, Callum. But
Oh, absolutely.
Aye.
Oh, absolutely. Just like 3 losses in a row to just end the season would be just fine. Thank you very much. I will happily take that. But yeah, for Arbroath, it's still a season to be proud of. As you say, it did very much drop off in the second half of the season. If you look at the form table, the last 15 they're down in 6th and then 7th for the last 10. They're kind of mid-table, but they had an excellent start and they fully deserved to have this playoff opportunity. It'll be interesting to see how they go next season. Just down to the fact that I think the last time Arbroath were in the playoffs, they ended up getting relegated the next season, and this is a weird trend that they seem to have had the last few times, where it's a case of they get to like this high point and they just drop, they just drop off a cliff. So it'll be interesting to see how they build on this. Again, I still think for next season their objective will just be survival, which is probably made easier thanks to some of the results in the League One playoffs. Again, we'll get into it in a second, but of course they are going to not be the only part-time team in the league next season, so they do actually have competition for signings. So will be interesting to see how they do next season. So yeah, speaking of the League One clubs, we do of course have the first of the playoffs, and that is Airdrie versus Alloa. Airdrie finishing 9th in the championship following a draw away at Morton, with Alloa finishing fourth, having been beaten on the final day by Queen of the South. Interestingly, Alloa have actually already defeated Airdrie this season with a League Cup group stage win at the Excelsior, but Airdrie, they did manage to stay up in these playoffs last season. First leg would see Alloa take the lead after 20 minutes with Scott Taggart scoring a penalty after Wilson fouled Adamson, with Wilson's slide tackle obviously being an attempt to block a shot, but Adamson did a really good job to win the foul in this one. It made a smart drag back of the ball, just made it so that you just got wiped clean out. It's smart play from him, but yeah, a bit silly from Wilson to go in like that. But I mean, like, you can understand why he did do that. So that was Alloa 1-0 up at home, and after what seemed like a million attempts from Airdrie, the only other time the ball ended up in the net was for Alloa. But again, like this volley, it was. I wanted to write. It's not a bicycle kick. It's more like a scissor kick, I would say. Really, it was really good technique. However, whoever it was that scored, I didn't quite catch the name. He was offside, and that's all I could really say for this game. It was just a case of Alloa, Airdrie just bashing down the door, and then Alloa attempting to catch him on the counter attack, which, as we saw with the penalty, did manage to work. Second leg, then, this time with Airdrie being the home team, was more of the same. Airdrie having two golden opportunities that they really should have scored. But Owen Foster would give Alloa a 2-0 aggregate lead just before half time. A corner does not get cleared, ball falls to him, and some really nice footwork from him. Just dances through the defence and manages to smash past Harry Stone. Second half, Airdrie would get a goal back eventually as Mahon's first time finish in the 56th minute would drag a goal back. But it would go back to normal. Airdrie, again, countless opportunities and just failing to convert. And as I said, it was just a case of Airdrie having loads of opportunities, Alloa catching on the counter, and it would be finished off. And it was just really bad goal to concede just through the. Can't remember the Alloa player's name, but I did see it mentioned on Twitter. The boy just ran through the middle of the park like unchallenged, despite having a few players near him. Plays it out left to Connor Salmon, who then switches the play to Adamson, who cuts inside, and his deflected effort just sort of bundles under Harry Stone's leg. It was just a diabolical goal to concede, and that was the goal that made it 3-1 on aggregate, and it would be the goal that ultimately sends Airdrie down. So that is Airdrie relegated after 3 seasons in the Championship. After well, they really should have been relegated last season, but yeah, these 2 games, they were the perfect summary of Airdrie's season. Really good spells, really nice football. They got a good goal, but then it was like diabolical defending. And I think across the 2 legs they had, I think it was 32 shots, I think, across the 2 games. And they only scored 1. And they had so many opportunities. A competent striker in that Airdrie team would have got so many goals. Like, you can tell that he just completely failed to replace Ben Wilson. And it's like Ewan Henderson, fair play to him. He managed to get 10 goals and 2 assists in the league this season. I think he got 19 in total in all competitions. He's got at least a third of Airdrie's goals, and he's a winger. So yeah, I couldn't tell you who Airdrie's most successful striker would have been this season, but yeah, just it was bound to happen for Airdrie, wasn't it?
I mean, saying that, I think on this, on this podcast, I think a couple of weeks ago, I said I think I actually backed Airdrie to stay up. So don't come to me for football and betting tips or whatever, because you'll get it wrong and you won't get money. But yeah, I mean, thought Alloa played decent in the first leg as well. Airdrie obviously had most of the chances, I think, as you would expect, the team that are fighting to stay in the championship. But I think at times as well, Alloa looked like they were all over Airdrie, and Airdrie couldn't really handle them. But and there was at times as well, it was pretty lucky. It was only 1-0. Alloa heading into the second leg, but it just encapsulates Airdrie kind of thing. I think the second leg kind of encapsulates Airdrie's season more than anything else. Obviously, they looked a bit better in the second leg, created a lot more chances, and um, but they only seem to make that last for like what 20, maybe 25 minute spells of a game or something like that. And then yeah, they just, as you said, comical defending. I remember when we played them a couple of weeks ago, and they conceded one of the most comical own goals I've ever seen on a football pitch, and that just encapsulates them and that that this season really. And I I think looking at the players as well, a lot of Airdrie fans on Twitter seem to say that the players seem to have chucked it, and it looked like that as well. But after that showing, I think they deserve to go down, and Alloa deserve to go through, and all credit to them. Obviously, people will be talking about how bad Airdrie were, or laughing at Airdrie going down, but Alloa deserve all the credit to go through as well, and fair play to them.
I was going to say there was something. I'd seen something in the news about how Aaron Taylor Sinclair was complaining about a bunch of players coming up with injuries between the two legs, and obviously, again, suggesting that many were possibly feigning them just to not get injured in this game or whatever, and because it's like their contracts were up, that whole sort of thing. But yeah, again, fair play to Alloa. I think I've not listened back to what I said last week, but I have a feeling that I backed Alloa to at least get to this point, or to probably beat Airdrie, just because of the fact I'd seen them twice already this season, and I thought they were really well organised. You could see that there was a plan, and again, we saw that with this one. They were really good on the counter. Like their counter attacks were really good, really dangerous, and they were able to, it's like Airdrie having their 30 plus shots, but not really doing much. It's like a good portion of that is because quite a lot of it was from outside of the 18-yard box. It's like Alloa were really well drilled defensively. They're not a team to be taken lightly. As I was, it's like we saw them beat Dundee in the League Cup, and when it's like they only lost 1-0 at Starks Park in the Scottish Cup. So yeah, absolutely not a team to look past to return to the Championship. If they do, obviously they're in the final, and if they do make it back, it'll be the first time since 2021 in that shortened season. I think it was a shortened season, but it was because it started late. I was thinking the one that got abruptly ended, but yeah, it will be interesting to see how they do in the final. But yeah, Airdrie, there's a bit of a rebuild that is going to be needed, because a lot of the players that we've been seeing are of a championship quality are out of contract, and it's like you look at so we'll go through like the current squad, and you look at it's like Harry Stone, I believe, is in on loan. He's been pretty decent. You've got trying to think, Lewis Strap, I believe, is out of contract. He's definitely championship standard at least. You've got trying to think who else is in that list. Charlie Telfer, Chris Mocktrey. They're players who could definitely be part of a championship squad. And then, of course, Ewan Henderson, again, with his 10 goals and 2 assists in this league, it's showing that, it's like put him in a better team, you might get better results from him, is what it is. It will be, but yeah, that means League One is going to be pretty interesting next season between County, Airdrie. Well, trying to think who else is definitely in that division next season. Queen of the South will definitely be in there. We'll get onto them in a minute. Got Montrose, who are always kind of there and thereabouts when it comes to the playoffs. We'll see if Aki's can stay up because they pretty comfortably got past forfeit. I believe. Trying to think, they face Clyde now, and pretty bizarre set of circumstances where it's like they're away from home in Hamilton, but then they're the home team in Cumbernauld. So good laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, good laugh always with Aki's, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes for Airdrie League One. It'll be a division to keep an eye on, especially with County and what Roy McGregor's millions will do there. So, well, that leaves us with the final championship promotion tie, and that was, of course, St. Osmere against Queen of the South. Stenny was finished second, were involved in a title battle up until the final day with Inverness. Of course, Inverness did have that 5 point deduction to start off the season, but still fair play to get involved with it. Meanwhile, Queen of the South, as mentioned, they did beat Alloa on the final day to jump up into third. They won 4-1, pretty convincing victory to set up this tie. And again, this one was pretty similar to the Airdrie Alloa tie to start off with Queen of the South having loads of opportunities to start off in the first leg, but then Gregor Buchanan, his effort from a corner would be directed into the bottom corner. He would give Stenny the lead just before half time. Second half, again, much the same. Queens having plenty of opportunities, but unlike Airdrie, they were able to find an equaliser. But it would take until the 92nd minute. Reece Lyons, with his first time effort at the edge of the box, finding the bottom corner. Really nice finish on that one. Then, of course, second leg at Ochilview would see Matty Aitken open the scoring for Stenny with a header just 4 minutes in. Just a sort of deflection kind of header. Just like a deft touch, and it just finds its way into the bottom corner. Just not even 10 minutes later, though, Nicky Clark would smash one in for just finding the bottom corner in the 11th minute. That would equalise it for Queens. Second half, however, fairly even. Neither side were able to score, so I went to extra time. Stenny getting a goal in the 103rd minute, with Ollie White managing to bundle the ball home. But then Nicky Clark once again equalised with a pretty nice turn and finish, I will say. That was in the 117th minute, and this would send the game to penalties, where despite missing their second penalty, Stenny would hold their nerve and manage to go through, as Queens would miss their final two back-to-back. So, yep, Stenny through to the final, and Queens staying in League One for what will now be their 5th season in the division. With this one, Stenny, of course, through to the final. It gives them the opportunity to play in the second tier for the first time since the 1974-75 season. That's how long it's been since they've been at this level. However, whatever happens with next season, they will be without Gary Naismith and his coaching staff, as it was announced on the Wednesday, the day after the draw at Palmerston, that he would be joining Ayr United as their new manager. What are your thoughts on this appointment?
I think he deserves it. I think he deserves a step up to Ayr. I think it's a really good appointment for Ayr as well. But I mean, it's a bit. I think the timing, mind you, might be a bit rubbish considering that they've just come out of they're in the playoff, semi final, and they've just come out of the first leg, and it's just been announced that the manager's leaving. But I don't think that shook the players. You would think that would kind of shake the players up, being like, what's happening here. But no, I think the players really want to do it for him, and all credit to Naismith. He's done a fantastic job. He was actually on the shortlist for getting the official job um, as well, but obviously he never got it. And at the time, I think this is before before the incredible season he's had at Stenhouse. I was a bit kind of against it, kind of thing. Well, I wouldn't say I was against it, but I think it was more like an unknown quantity kind of thing. But um, he's been absolutely fantastic for Stenny, and he definitely deserves the move up. And I don't think Stenhouse Beer fans can kind of begrudge him over that.
Yeah, I was going to say he's been at Stenny since 2023, so he would have won. Yeah, he would have won League Two. He was also announced as League One Manager of the Year ahead of who's a Cali Scott Gallagher, which is an interesting choice, but it's like fair enough when you consider the fact that Stenny are part time, whereas Inverness are full time. Of course, Inverness has the aforementioned 5 point deduction, so yeah, I think he was on the short list as well for Rafe before he got Dougie Emery, and he's someone who I would have been happy with. Having seen how much he's brought to Stenny, how far he's brought them up. So yeah, it's really good appointment from a pretty smart one. So I will be interesting to see how he does next season, and of course, as you say, it could have shaken up the Stenny players, but considering they've still gone through, they've it hasn't really changed much. Like you say, it's a case of doing it for him, that whole sort of thing. And of course, if Stenhousemuir do end up in the championship, then it's a more attractive proposition for managers. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how that it all pans out for them. Queen herself, meanwhile, their manager Peter Murphy has been relieved of his position after yet another failed promotion campaign for the Dunhamers. The club are, of course, now moving towards a hybrid model with a mixture of full time and part time players, with the club itself coming out basically saying that to maintain a full time team or to even just maintain the club, really, they need to be in the championship because there's more money in the championship, of course, more away fans, that whole sort of thing. I would have liked to have seen Queen herself make a return. They feel like a championship team. It's like if you were to ask someone what division do you feel Queen herself should be in, I would probably say championship. I just remember them being in there for ages. But yeah, it will be interesting to see who comes in for them and how they do in the future. Again, as mentioned, League One is going to be very messy next season, especially it's like with County and Airdrie in that division now. That's going to be two full-time teams at least. Aki's, with their new board, might remain full-time. So Queen herself really last few years they really fumbled. I think it was like Marvin Buckley. They finished 8th. I want to say they finished behind Annan. They
Yeah,
weren't the top team in Dumfries and Galloway for a season. That is it does not compute when
yeah,
you consider it's like the relative size of club of Queen herself versus Annan and Stranraer, Gretna, that whole sort of thing. So it will be interesting to see how they do for next season. Any thoughts on Queen herself?
Queen of the South, but Queen of the South have always been a championship club. For the longest, for as long as I can remember, they've always been there. In the championship, and as well as that, it's a fantastic day out as well. I've only done it once, mind you. I would like to do it more, but obviously they didn't make it, and they've been down there. I think they've kind of struggled to they've struggled in the in League One, sorry, since the relegation. I thought they were one of the clubs that would kind of just naturally bounce back. After they went down in 2022, I believe it was. But obviously they've struggled to do so. Um, since then, but I mean, staying out where I think with them finishing second, with them running Inverness as close as they did. I think they deserve it. I think they deserve to be in the playoff final. You know what I mean? So I would love Stenny to do it personally. I think as well financially, I think I've heard they're kind of struggling behind the scenes. So that'd be good. It'd be good if they did. get promoted. I think they do deserve it. But same with Alloa as well. I think they do deserve it as well. We've obviously heading talking about that playoff final. It's a tasty fixture as well. I think it's a bit of a local derby as well, so that's good as well. That's certainly it makes it certainly interesting. But nonetheless, Alloa they've knocked out championship opposition. They've relegated them, so um, to say Alba don't deserve it as well. They do. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Um, they are personally, I think I would sway towards the Stenhousemuir just for how they've been this season, but don't count out Alba as well. You know what I mean? They've obviously deserved. They obviously deserve to be there in merit too. So I looking forward to that and seeing who potentially, if Thistle don't make it to the playoff final or don't get promoted this season, seeing what the out we get in the championship.
Yeah, it is, as you say, I was just having a look there. It's like since being relegated to League One, it's been a case of fifth, seventh, and then back to back third place finishes for Queen herself. And yeah, reading the statement here from the departures, basically saying having been knocked out of the promotion playoffs, and we have taken some time to reflect. Football's a results business, and financially, we need to be in the championship. So yeah, well, we again, Queen herself will want to see them back in the league at some point. I've never been down to Dumfries for a game, so that's kind of why I was wanting it. But I've also never been to Stenhousemuir for a game, so either way, I'm getting a new away day next season. But yeah, as you were saying about the opportunities for Stenny and Alloa, it's like I've got to back Stenny for this one. Like the gap at the end of the season, I've got up here. Stenhousemuir finished on 67 points, Alloa 53, so 14 points worth of difference. I could probably have a look at where is it? I could probably find a head to head. Where is it? Head to head is there. And yeah, so this season it was a win each and two draws each, both of them being 0-0, and the two wins only being by a single goal. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how that pans out. It would be nice to. It's like Alloa are one of those teams that sort of like bounce around between League One and the Championship.
Yeah,
So it's like not out of the ordinary to have them steady being in this tier for the first time. What was it 1975? So you're talking 51 years.
that's mental.
It would definitely be a bit different. So I will be looking forward to this one. It'll be nice to have two teams coming up from League One. I think it's been a good wee while since that has happened. But yeah, so that is all for the current fixtures. So of course, for the promotion to the Premiership, we have Partick against Dunfermline. You've of course, I think we both made it clear that we have a feeling it will be Thistle going through, mainly because we both want that to happen. um, but yeah, with Alloa and Osmere, I'm probably going to back Stenny on that one.
Yeah,
I'd imagine you're the same.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been to Alloa as well. It's a decent wee day out. Down in Alloa as well, or up in Alloa, shall I say? But um, I think I backed Stenhouse there as well. Just they finished so strong in that season run, Inverness pretty close. But obviously Alloa as well. They'll be riding high after knocking out Airdrie as well. Who are obviously championship competition. Now they're not. So I I think it'll be a really entertaining game. I don't think it'll be just one goal in it or something, or one team will run away with it. I think it'll go down to the wire. Whether it goes to extra time or penalties is a different story. But I think Stenny will do it just. But I think it'll be a decent game of football.
I'd probably have to agree with that. So, of course, we will be covering those two fixtures in next week's episode. Before, of course, we look forward to the eventual playoff final, which, by the looks of it, is almost certainly going to be against St Mirren, seeing as Trevor, they've got two games left, and one of them is on the Tuesday. So basically, the day this comes out, and St Mirren are sitting 4 points off of Kelly having just been thumped 3-0 by them. Safe to say it will be St Mirren in the playoffs, who were in the championship. I want to say it was about a decade ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they got promoted back to the. I think it was 2018. I want to say they get
I think
promoted back.
yeah, I want to say 2018 because it was like the season after they stayed up because we went down in the playoffs and so yeah, 2016-17 championship seventh. That's when they were fighting against us for that playoff spot, and we were very stupid and not Lewis to Dumbarton. But then they did end up winning the championship the following season. So yeah, 2018. I wouldn't be surprised, if St Mirren come down. They've properly collapsed these last, like since that League Cup when it's just been dreadful, just dreadful form from them. I can probably bring up the form table just to see what that's looking like for them. Let's see. Yep, 3 points less than Livingston in the last 10. 7 points again less than Livingston in the last 10 games. Yeah, but like last 15 games they've got 12 points.
Yeah,
Like that's yeah, like barely. It's like in these form tables for even the last 20, they've only got 13 points. Livingston have got 11, and it's like in that time Livingston have won once. That's just how bad it has been for St Mirren. So I think this playoff final, winner of this playoff semi final goes up. I'm just fully convinced by it, just by looking at St Mirren right now. They're just utterly dreadful. So
and that's
I
the
will
thing
be
as
interested
well.
to see
Just
how
going
that comes
on.
around. But of course, we will cover that when we get to it. So
I
again,
know. It's just about to say as well, Cal, just going on that. Even if it isn't us heading into the playoff final, when it is Dunfermline, they've already beaten two Premier League oppositions this year, or Premiership oppositions, I should
mhm.
say. Sorry, this year, Hibs and Aberdeen. So I think they definitely back themselves if they overcome us in the semi final. But I mean, obviously I've seen Thistle play St Mirren in the quarterfinals in Paisley about 3 months ago now, 2 or 3 months ago, and yeah, I mean, I think we kind of gifted them two kind of goals. Obviously, that penalty controversy as well. But I think for the last spot, the second half, Stanley scored, I think, about 5 minutes into the second half, to pull the goal back to get us back into it. I thought we had them on the ropes, the whole second half, and we were very unlucky to at very least not take them extra time. So if it comes to it, I would probably back us against it with him, but I Dunfermline have no reason not to as well, considering their Scottish Cup exploits as well. So it'll be tasty. But I don't want to think about playoff finals or right now. I just want to, get through the semis and see what happens.
Aye, it will be interesting to see how this all pans out, and of course, we will be covering this all uh, when we get to it. So, of course, that is the end of this week's episode. Of course, the penitentiary, not penitentiary, the Salmon's Pizzeria Sixes is, of course, going ahead. So, of course, donation links to that will be down below, of course, still for Andy's Man Club. And we will be back next week for more playoff action. So, that is it for this week, and bye for now.
Catch you after. Take care.